Hi, parents of teens and tweens. Do you ever find yourself in a dilemma about how to respond when your child is using a behavior that you're concerned is going to lead to bigger problems? It's not so much that they're behaving badly or misbehaving. It's like they're reacting with small picture thinking, and you'd like them to see a bigger picture. The situation presents you with a gray area of, do I do something? Do I not do something? Do I just let them figure it out and they learn what they learn? Do I step in? Do I step back? I think this is one of the hardest parts of being a parent, truly. And I assume I'm not alone here. Maybe you struggle with this too. I hope I'm not the only one. I'm going to share a screen here so I can share some information with you. You know, my husband and I have really leaned into positive discipline concepts and tools to help us navigate these challenging situations. And as we've discussed how we want to respond to our children's behaviors rather than react to them, we consider a number of things. So first thing we want to consider is how to use kindness and firmness at the same time. Kindness is about really respecting the child's perspective and needs. And the firmness piece is about respecting our perspective and needs, and also the needs of the situation. And then we need to consider what following through with whatever expectations we set is going to look like. And we want to consider the big picture. How can we use this challenging moment to teach our child important life skills and character traits? Keep in mind that in a lot of situations, there is no clear-cut right or wrong. That's what makes this hard, right? So sometimes we've stepped in, sometimes we've stepped back. And I'm going to share with you an example of when we stepped in and why we made the decision to do that in that particular situation. So it's been many years ago. Sophomore chemistry was just kicking our son's butt, and he didn't want to get help from the teacher. He was stuck in this mindset of smart people don't have to ask for help. If I can't figure it out on my own, it's not possible for me to learn it. Now, my husband and I knew he was wrong, of course, but reassuring him that he was capable when he was sure he was not would have gotten us nothing but a withering look and a "you couldn't possibly understand." So we discussed our big picture parenting options. Do we let him fail? Do we let him drop the class? Big picture possible outcome number one, child could give up, experience the failure, maybe try again, or maybe not. He might learn necessary lessons that would make him more resilient, or he might decide that when something is too hard, he can just quit, and that could become a negative life pattern. Big picture possible outcome number two, child could be strongly encouraged to ask for help, and repeatedly practicing something hard does tend to make it easier, so would likely yield improved results, as well as some perspective on giving up versus digging in and figuring it out. Digging in and figuring things out could become a positive life pattern. So we decided to try option two. During a conversation in which we expressed genuine concern for his struggles, I asked him, would you like to make an appointment with the teacher yourself, or would you like me to make it and meet you outside the classroom to help make sure you get there? Grumble, grumble, grumble. I'll do it myself. Thank you, I replied. Let me know when you're going in, and I'll pick you up when you're done. You know, it's not that failure isn't a good learning tool sometimes. It can be, but I do think we need to consider a couple of important ifs before letting our child go there. So for instance, if a child already has persistent skills and the drive to succeed at the challenge they're facing, failure isn't going to stop them. They'll come back and try again because they're invested in the end result. A discussion with parents about why the child is making the decision to quit, if that's what they're deciding, or what caused them to fail, could lead them toward big picture thinking. Did they just bite off more than they could chew? Is there a skill deficit? And if there is, what's the plan for closing that gap so they'll be more successful next time? On the other hand, if a child doesn't have persistent skills and they're not invested in success, then failure can just reinforce what they think they already know, that they can't do it and effort is futile. They get stuck in that small picture, doing what's easier for them in the moment. It takes a lot of work for parents to pull them out of that place. We have to follow through consistently as we hold our child accountable for following through. They need frequent encouragement, not lectures, not coddling, as we notice out loud when we see them taking baby steps toward that goal. In our situation, that sounded like, "Thank you for making and keeping your appointment. We know that was hard for you to do." Or, "Retaking that test took a lot of effort from you. Way to be persistent." The first few months, we had to be pretty watchful that our son was making and keeping those appointments. But by the end of third quarter, he was going in without prompting. And by the end of the year, he had earned a B in that class. His final English project, different class, because it was chemistry that he was struggling with. In English, he had to make a statement that summarized his learning for the year. And his project, he wrote it in about like 48-point font. And here's what he wrote. "I have learned that sometimes life tries to stomp you down, but the most satisfying thing is turning around and stomping it back." The life skills he learned from that experience helped him become more determined, even when the possibility of failure hovered over his shoulder at times. By the time he was in college, he typically exhausted his own personal learning resources first, also an important skill, but then he would ask for help when he needed it. So my husband and I would smile every time we heard him talking about going into work with a professor during office hours, because that meant he was seeing his own big picture. So if you are struggling with a parenting challenge, I encourage you to step back and consider a few things. First of all, what's the skill deficit that your child is demonstrating? 2, is that an important skill for them to develop at this stage in life? And 3, is there something in this situation that needs to be addressed so they can practice this skill? And do you need to step in, or is this an important time for you to step back so they can experience what they need to in order to learn something important? If you decide to step in, as we did in that situation, also consider, how can you step in with kindness and firmness? How will you make sure that the solution or the expectation that you're setting is respectful to the related to the problem, respectful to your child and anyone else involved, reasonable, meaning they're capable of doing it, and helpful in solving the problem and teaching the skills that are needed here? And then finally, how will you and your child define and evaluate success? And most important thing, relationship, relationship, relationship. Nothing we did in our situation would have been effective if we hadn't already had a strong, committed, loving relationship with our son. He knew that we loved him, valued him, wanted the best for him. The moments that we had with laughter, fun conversation, quality time enjoying each other's company far outweighed the conversations we needed to have about school success. So if your relationship is on rocky ground, unless there's an issue of safety, put your focus on building that relationship first. That's your big picture focus right there. And there are lots of positive discipline tools that can help you with that. I'll tell you what, this parenting thing is hard work, and you don't have to do it alone, right? Just like my son didn't have to do chemistry alone. There's support out there. If parent coaching would be helpful to you, please feel free to contact me to schedule a consultation. We'll explore how to apply positive discipline concepts and tools to your particular situation so you can feel more confident about how to parent from a big picture perspective. I'm going to stop screen sharing here so I can see you better again. If this video was helpful to you, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have several videos there already that might be helpful to you as well. And you'll always know when another one is available if you subscribe. And I also welcome your comments and questions. Let's start a discussion. So go ahead and put them in the comments section. And I'll look forward to seeing you again next time.